Recording. We are recording. And show intro. The League Podcast. What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in once again to the League Podcast. Before we get started, I do have to make a quick announcement. There could be a chance that this might be the very last episode. And even in fantasy, could be a chance that I'll just quit and give up if I win this Powerball, the Mega Million tomorrow. I'll be like, I'm out, bitches. Yeah, I would give two shits about this fantasy league. I mean, I love you all, but come on, it's $1 billion. Highly anticipated episode here today because of our very special guest, who wants to be introduced with this, which I think speaks for itself.
True that.
Mr. David Yu. Mr. David Mandoo Yu. What is going on, sir? How are you?
What up, Topher? Thank you for having me here.
No, thank you for being here.
God bless you and the work that you do.
So as you know, this is a very highly anticipated episode.
I'm very flattered by that. Yes.
Yeah. So go ahead, introduce yourself to those that, everyone knows you. Who are you?
There are actually a lot of people in this world who only know my name as Mandoo, if you can believe that.
Okay.
It's my baller name.
Is your baller name?
On the streets. Yeah. For this fantasy league, I've been playing since when? 2012? 2011?
When it started?
I can't remember because I took a year or two off. Yeah. Somewhere in between. So my history's been a little bit on and off. Mm-hmm. But it's been a long road. It's sort of good to be back.
Yeah.
I think I returned last year. It's been a tough couple of years.
Yeah.
But what else do people introduce themselves about?
Your life. How, for those that don't know you by Mandoo, did you get the name Mandoo? Besides your street.
I think I just made it up when I was in middle school.
Was it like a AIM?
It was for AIM.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was right after Napun Tongseng.
Oh, okay.
I figured I had to come up with something more mature.
All right, Mr. Mandoo. You took a couple of years off. You took how many times did you win?
Twice.
The first two times.
First two times.
Almost got a three-peat, right? Am I correct?
I don't know.
Well, weren't you always were going against Scott?
Your first 2 years, yeah. It was crazy.
Because Scott would always draft.
Well, back to back in the championship, it was me and Scott,
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible stuff.
Looking back,
yeah.
Did you think maybe the competition wasn't as good then, or what? What do you think? You think you put more time into it? I mean, I know Scott's story. He just always picks Patriots, and at that time, Patriots were studs, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do put more time into it. That's obvious. You look at the number of transactions in this league. I think I have about 40 transactions. The average is probably about 12.
And this is 40 transactions that don't include the ones that haven't been made, right? Like the ones that got rejected.
Oh.
Right? The ones that you talk on the side about, be like, what about this?
Oh, that would be about like 200 transactions. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's going to feed into the trade talk, which I have a lot to say about.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do. Okay. But you won two years. The third year, were you close, or were you just?
I don't remember. I just count championships,
Two?
It's win or bust.
Two. I think you hold the record for the number of championships, right?
I think so, unless someone else has their trophy on the name twice.
No, but after this year, it'll be me. Okay, so then what happened? What happened since then? What's going on?
What's going on this year?
Well, this year, 2 years. Oh, actually, let's talk about the break. What happened with the break?
I think it was just because like Sunday school and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can't assemble your roster when you're doing Sunday school unless you do it between that time. Somehow like right after mass ends, which is around like 12:55 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And the lineup started at 1 o'clock. It just made no sense. So I just wanted to remove that stress from my life during that time.
What about last year? Weren't you involved in Sunday school last year? But you were also involved in the league last year as well.
Yeah, I was.
That's the stress that you were.
Yeah. I mean, I think Paul and James convinced me to come back. I mean, they're always teasing me saying how like they have to beg me to come back, but it's because like if you know anything about me, like I have a very addictive personality. Not to say that people are addicted to my personality, meaning that
You've got.
I get very fixed on things, right?
I'm kind of like the same.
I don't like to multitask. There's only a couple or 3 things I can focus on in my life.
You go 100% or
100%, 110%,
110 or not at all.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem, and so my record's 0-6.
0-6.
About to be 7-6. But besides that,
no, you're 0-7 now because I handed you to 7th.
What are you talking about?
No. You considered that loss, and then
it's
you went
0-6.
You're in 0-6.
This is week 7.
This is week 7. You're right.
Let's get the record straight.
6 loss. All right, go ahead.
Well, let's be real. Like I'm 0-6, so I've had some time, like the past couple of weeks, to reflect.
Okay.
On my life in general, and there's been a lot of wake up calls.
Okay.
Now during the past few weeks, it's I've noticed that I've just been completely obsessed with fantasy.
Yeah.
And for the record too,
like you're serious talk right now. Right?
I'm serious.
Very serious. Okay.
Always serious. All right. I'll give you few examples. Okay? So this was like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I was on the road. And so like everyone says, like Wan Young was teasing me about this last week, saying how I'm always up in the wee hours in the morning, proposing trades. Well, that's my routine. I wake up in the morning, I cook some potatoes, egg, and then I propose some trades, and I'm on my way to work, right? Okay. And so as I'm driving, I get some responses back. So on this day, I got a response back from JB Young, right? Okay. We're going back and forth. Okay. And you know that intersection at Norbeck and Georgia Avenue where Big Greek is? Yeah. So
dangerous.
Well, it's not just dangerous. There's a red traffic camera.
Oh no.
Right? So that's the intersection.
No.
So I was driving on Georgia about to take a right onto Norbeck, and you have to be focused because you have to make a complete stop. Right? But right before I got to that light, I get this cacao message on my phone from JB Hill. I don't even remember what it was, but it was something very, very attractive, right? Okay. It's something very intriguing at the least. Okay. And so I was thinking about it. And all of a sudden, I was already on Norbeck. I took that right somehow. I was like, did I stop?
Okay.
How do I end up here? So this was only a couple of weeks ago, so I'm still waiting for my traffic ticket to come in the mail. Oh, my
goodness.
So I think motherfucking Honksters, he got stuck at that light, or he got caught like a couple of times. I think he said it cost over $100 a ticket. It's an expensive one. Maybe it's like $75.
Oh wow,
so that would be wake up call number 1.
I think speeding cameras are like $50.
I don't know. I think that I don't know. I could be wrong.
Wow.
But wake up call number 2 was
you should just never be on the phone. I mean, that's not even about fantasy.
It was just a notification. It wasn't in my hand. Like it wasn't in my hand or anything like that.
So you just like slid the bar down.
No. There's a notification that just
just
slides
pops
down.
Okay.
So I kind of like put my head towards the dash to see, what the message was. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then all of a sudden I was on Norbeck. I was like, wait, what just happened? So that was wake up call number 1. Wake up call number 2 is, on the iPhone, it tells you now, like it's already built in what your usage is for particular apps.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm not an iPhone user.
Oh, okay.
Fuck iPhones.
Cool.
Samsung all the way.
Cool. So
we're all Koreans. We should all have Samsung. What are you guys doing? Oh, come on. Oh, it's 30. Oh, it's OBJ. Sorry. We're gonna have a segment of am I gonna beat the unthrown, the undefeated this because we're watching the game as we do this podcast because.
So who are you playing this week?
I'm going against Paul.
Oh, you're going against Paul.
And I got Sterling Shepard, I got Saquon Barkley, and I got Austin Hooper here. He's got Matt Ryan, and he's up by 17 points. So it's very close.
Let's not forget, I have a couple players, actually just one player in this league.
In this game.
You know who it is? I'm streaming the kicker.
For Atlanta?
For what? Yeah, Atlanta, because Matt Bryant was injured. So I got Giorgio Tavecchio, my man.
And you're looks like about like 30 points shy. This kicker needs to have a huge
I think
game.
you round up. It's 30 points, yes.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's 151 to 122.
Yeah. So you got to round up to 30. That's 29.
Okay, 30. Yeah,
Don't. Let's get the record straight. I have a chance. Now, that's the thing I hate about Yahoo is somehow Yahoo has a 1% chance of me winning.
Right.
In what situation could I possibly win this game? What is that 1%?
The kicker, I mean, they would literally have to just drive it for like 10 yards.
He has to kick like 5 of these 50-plus yard field goals. Beat yo kids. He's got Ito Smith in the lineup here.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to fumble the ball twice and then like moonwalk for another 50
Actually,
yards.
I think at this point that you'd have a better chance of winning by Ito Smith fucking up way.
He literally has to run backwards. Someone has to knock him in the head.
Drop the football.
And just run backwards.
Drop the football, right?
Drop the ball. Safe. Do you get penalized if you get a safety? Does that play?
I think that goes to defense.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I need all those anomalies to happen for me to have a chance. But that 1%, it's just like
It's not
just
gonna
spitting you
happen.
in, like spitting in
it's
your
not gonna
face,
happen. No.
like Rondo.
Yeah. Oh, Rondo. I feel like we're gonna have a lot of basketball talking here, just because you're.
I know a little bit more about basketball than I do about football.
Okay. Where?
I forgot to say wake up call number 2.
3, 2.
Number two. We only got to number 2.
Okay.
This is like the main number 2.
Okay.
All right, so Wednesday morning is when free agency opens up.
Yes.
At 12 o'clock. Wait, Pacific time? Is it 12
Pacific
o'clock?
time? I think isn't. It's like 3 here.
It's
right?
3 a.m.
Yep.
here, right? At 3 a.m. is pretty early, but it's not too bad. But what was bad is, I went through my routine again. I woke up at 3 a.m. I go through free agency, see like who's on the waiver. I still don't understand the system, by the way, because there are players who are not being claimed to have the waiver on them.
Yeah,
I think it's based on whoever is being claimed throughout the entire league that certain players get put on that waiver period.
No.
Regardless.
It can't be.
I've seen it happen because there are people who are not. Maybe it's because people have them on like subsequent waivers in case one flops, so that person would indeed be claimed if they didn't get their first pick.
Maybe
it's something like that,
Yeah.
but I never quite figured it out. But anywho,
maybe it's just saying that, hey, someone's putting a bid. Actually, it shouldn't even matter.
I don't know. I don't know how it works, right?
Yeah.
But I just wait 3 o'clock. That's when free agency opens up.
Yep.
I take my picks. I
Yep.
collect the garbage. All right. And so I did that. I went through my routine.
On Wednesday.
Yeah. And I didn't do anything else on my phone. I promise you.
Okay.
I get to work, right? And then, like I see this thing
The
on my
usage,
notification,
right?
the usage,
Right.
right? And there's categories. So I'm assuming that Yahoo Sports' fantasy one falls under entertainment, right? It says 47 minutes on there. You know what that means? I woke up at 3 o'clock until 3:50 on my phone before I got my day started. No joke.
And you could have been sleeping that time. You could have been doing.
I
something
could have been
productive.
living life, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going on, but I'm glad. I think this is a sign from God for me to take like 5 big steps back and to just kind of reprioritize what's important in my life. I couldn't keep this going. I think at this rate, I would have gotten into an accident.
Yeah.
I would have got fired from my job.
There's already is it that point to that point where it's affecting your job performance?
You know what the biggest thing is, and this is I'm still being serious here. I do take my faith seriously, right? And the one beautiful thing, right, is to do spontaneous prayer.
Okay.
Okay, that means it's not like a dedicated amount of time. Like I'm going to take the next 20, 25 minutes here to do rosary.
Right.
It means like those small gaps throughout the day, you take some time to pray, right? Whether it just be like a simple Our Father or something else.
And you kind of meditate, reflect.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful thing, right?
Okay.
Because it kind of spaces out your day with that grace.
Okay.
But in those spaces in which I typically would have spontaneous prayer, it's all about trades. It's not even voluntary. I'm walking down the hall to go to the bathroom and get like some water to drink. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I can make this trade with Epic James Time or Hoons or Jigabamas, oh my gosh, my team would be legit. I can't stop it. It just completely governs my consciousness. So I'm glad. I'm 0-6. It's a good time for me to pivot away from things that are less important in life into the things that are much more important.
You said there were 3 wake-up calls. That was like...
I can't think of the other one.
Yeah. It's people love it. This is why people do it, right? This is why. I mean, we're doing a podcast about this. Look at this, David.
This is very cool.
We're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about religious and don't get me wrong. Like I've had ideas to do more serious things like religions and daddy podcast or things. I've had other ideas, but this is specifically about fantasy football.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty intense.
Yes.
And I think it's getting more intense in our league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, when you first won, I don't know. I didn't really care. I was, at that point we were doing like a $25 buy-in. So it was like,
I was all in. It doesn't matter. It could be $25. It could be $25,000.
Well,
it's going to be the same level of effort.
Do you do multiple leagues, or have you ever?
No,
only done one league.
I think I've played in some just for fun kind of leagues, but I never paid any attention to it. This is the only league that I've really played in.
See, if you have multiple leagues where you like start paying a lot,
that's
of attention,
impossible.
You start prioritizing the ones that have the higher payout, right? And
yeah.
For us,
that's perfectly logical to me.
This was always kind of that, but now keeping it to just one. But it's getting intense, man.
I don't know how people play more than one league. I walked into David Jane just the other day at Green Turtle, and he was telling me how he was playing in 3 leagues. He was bragging about being 4-2, whatever. All right, you can count your wins now. Yeah. If you don't get the championship, it means nothing. I just don't understand. But I just I can't
we
even
talk, at this point. I think we can talk about percentages of getting into playoffs. Like you.
See, here's my philosophy about fantasy, and I think people have it wrong. Okay? When even that week during the draft, I made some mistakes during the draft, obviously, because I had an auto pick on the first pick.
Who was that?
It was Le'Veon Bell, which is funny because I've only picked Le'Veon Bell twice in this league, and both times it was an auto pick. The first time, it was both because of Christopher's. The first time I was late to Chris Young's house. Second time I was late to your house. And Yahoo always decides to auto pick Le'Veon Bell.
I think he was around my pick at the 6th pick.
Yeah,
and I think I passed up on him and got Saquon.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do.
I think
a beast.
Right, and I think had you been there, right. Maybe you were before. I don't know.
I think I was 3 or something like that.
You were 3? Oh,
yeah, I was pretty high up. I
don't think Le'Veon Bell was that high.
Maybe 5. I don't know.
Right? I thought he'd be like 5 or 6, especially with uncertainty. But actually, we can look it up right now, just because we have it. Because this is gonna be interesting. Because if you were there, I might be the one that stuck with Le'Veon. You know what I mean? And you would have had Saquon. It would have been a completely different story.
I don't know. I probably, hindsight's 2020. Of course, it's easy to say I wouldn't pick Le'Veon Bell, but I definitely wouldn't have chosen Saquon because of him being on the Giants.
Hold on a second. Let me see here.
Yeah, while you look it up, I was talking about my philosophy on fantasy.
Okay, go ahead.
My philosophy is not to pick up wins. I think wins are just purely circumstantial.
Okay.
The whole point, or what you should be doing week to week, is thinking how I can assemble the best possible team by week 14.
By week 14.
The playoffs.
Yes.
That's all that matters, right?
But you have to have wins to get into playoffs.
Circumstantial. Right? You can't, you look at the agenda that we had right there. There's a bullet there saying how easily I could have been 3-3.
3-3.
It's true. It's true.
It is.
Wait, do we want to go into the weeds on that one right now?
Yeah, and then we can go quickly to the previous guest and trash talk if you have any. But let's go ahead.
Okay.
You could be 3-3. 3-3. Yes.
All right. So this is going to segue into some of the trade talk too.
Yes.
But just kind of control me as I go here. You're going to have to temper my anger.
Yep.
All right. So my first win that I definitely should have gotten. Actually, you can go back to like weeks 1 to 3. I should have picked up at least one win. I think Wan Hyung mentioned this too. You look at or Hoons even mentioned it in his podcast, saying that I just had some bad matchups.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm still not fully understanding. Maybe I'm just give up when I try to comprehend this. But if you look at the league the standings, right?
Yeah.
You got the points. You got your record.
Yeah.
That'll determine what position you're in. But then you also have how much you scored, and then points against, meaning how many people scored against you.
Yeah.
And I think you are at something ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're at 907.19. The next highest is JB at 865.
I did not know that.
Basically meaning every time someone
People
you play
just
against
be
you,
dumping on me, man.
they blow up.
That's
they just
crazy.
have a crazy week. I mean, my last week you would have beat me. You would have beat everyone else except for me. You know what I mean?
I think it was like 8 of the other 10 teams I would have beat.
Yeah,
because I looked at it.
140 points.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah, 140 points is a legit post.
That's,
Tonight, even with like half of my running backs, putting up nothing, I still could have put up a fight against most of the other teams. But going back to the early,
circumstantial.
yeah, it's all circumstantial. That's the thing. I'm not a game manager. I'm not Alex Smith of the fantasy league.
Right.
I'm not trying to pick wins. I think it's purely circumstantial, and I don't consider it to be bad luck either that I'm in the spot that I'm in. But to kind of reverse, the first obvious candidate for the win I should have or could have gotten was against Epic James time because I lost by I think 0.2.
Yeah.
James Conner just had to run a couple more yards, but they could run the clock out, so they did. Right, and that's okay. It is what it is. I don't consider that bad luck. It's probably good luck for Epic James time, but I don't consider it bad luck for me. It just is what it is. All right, but this is the one that really gets me.
Okay.
All right, so this was about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And Epic James time, and the team now known as 7-6 had a trade agreed to.
Okay.
Verbally.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so James calls me. I think it's on a Monday night.
Okay.
We already cockeyed throughout the day. We already had the term settled. Right? He calls me.
I mean, you guys called to finalize the deal.
He called me. Like I don't.
Like that's how serious it was.
I think we should call all the time. I'm sick of all this back and forth through Kakao. Like I'm waiting for you to respond. Let's just get on the phone for like 5 minutes and get to a deal. All right.
Okay.
But obviously that requires a bit more attention than most people will give. Yeah. But so James calls me on the Monday night, and I believe the trade was an AJ Green and Eric Ebron for James Conner and Le'Veon Bell.
Yes.
It was a handcuff package to get a wide receiver 1 because I was looking for a wide receiver. I'm still looking for a wide receiver.
Okay.
Right. And Eric Ebron. Now you look at that trade and you say, oh, the main piece in that trade is what for me?
Your receiver.
Yeah, AJ Green.
Right.
Okay.
AJ Green.
Now a key piece of that package was actually Eric Ebron.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is when, because I have TY on my team, and he was going down with his hamstring or something like that, or maybe this even happened after that point. But I really wanted to pick up Eric Ebron. Right. I really at least stream him for that week, for that Thursday night game. You remember what happened, right? He picked up some 30 points. On that Thursday night game,
and he's been putting up solid numbers throughout. I don't know how he did this week.
I have him on my team.
Oh, you got him.
Well, yeah, I mean,
someone dropped him.
A couple of games. Oh, okay. So speaking of dropping, this is what really gets me. Okay. So after we have the deal agreed to,
go back. Yep.
We have this agreed to. He backs out. Okay, he backs out. Yeah. He even calls me and he says, "Okay, fine."
Okay.
Right, and he hangs up. Doesn't even say goodbye. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm trying to sleep.
He backs out.
Yeah, and he backs out.
But didn't it go through to the veto boards?
No. The trade never went through.
But it went to the veto boards, though.
No. The trade never made it there. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. But what was the package for the James Conner and
what I'm saying is never was accepted on Yahoo. It never made it to, like when you say veto boards, it never made it to the group.
But I thought I saw a deal with James Conner and Le'Veon Bell. Who was that with?
Dude, I can't remember. I offered that package so many times to different people.
I think it might have been to Chong. I don't know.
There was James Conner going to Chung. I'll talk about that trade too.
Okay.
Right?
Because again, I think I even discussed it at the whichever podcast we're talking about. But it's the fact. Do you believe James Conner is going to do work? That's the thing. If it wasn't with James Conner, it might have gone through. You see what I'm saying?
Let's talk about those Steelers.
Well, actually, we need to talk about our weekly Bell talk, right?
Okay.
Because
whoa, hold on a second. I don't want to talk about Bell.
Okay.
First off, I don't even know why that's a bullet point on there. Why is Le'Veon Bell of any interest to me? He's not a friend of mine. Why do I want to talk about Le'Veon Bell?
Because if he plays or not depends on how you do on your fantasy. Because you're an owner.
All right. Let's just rewind a little bit and just finish what we talked about during that 1 week for Eric Ebron. Okay, so what pissed me off, all right, to say it lightly, was that not only did he back out of that trade,
yes,
it was Thursday night, and this man drops Eric Ebron. He drops him.
Okay.
I had no idea. That he dropped him. I would have picked him up in a second, and I would have played him on that Thursday night game. And guess what? I would have won that game.
Well, I mean, he's not required to make an announcement. You know.
Whose side are you on, man?
I'm just saying. I get it. Like if he was a bro, right? If he was your best friend, being the wedding and everything, right? Like he would have been like,
he wasn't a
Mandoo.
bro. He told me after the game, or I think even when the game was being played, he was like, "Oh yeah, I dropped him for you, Mandoo." Game already started.
But you picked him up though.
Well, I picked him up like a couple weeks afterwards. Like he got hot. You know, it was 30 points, so he's probably claimed number 1 on the waiver. I didn't get him. I'm too quick on the trigger with the waiver, so I'm never grabbing that right player. That's why free agency is so important to me. I had to find the sleeper of the sleeper of the sleeper to have a chance, because I'm not going to get anyone who's popular on the waiver.
Let's actually let's move on. How far are we? We're at 20. What is going on? 26.
Is it still recording?
It's recording, but I don't know if it's moving or not. Is it moving?
What does that mean?
26. Okay, it's moving. All right. Let's see here. So let's continue. Do you have any feedback on previous guests and picks? This week was my pick. How did you like my picks? No.
I'll have to take a look at them.
Okay, what about podcast guests? Do you have any shit talking to do about boring episodes, about people who put you to sleep?
I mean, James' episode obviously comes to mind, but I think he's already been picked on. Well deserved.
Yeah. I feel bad because that was when we were like, oh, okay, now we need structure.
Yeah. I mean, the other ones were good. You know,
really?
The other ones, I think they're okay.
Oh,
I think the only problem was they were too long.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm glad like last week there was more structure to it.
I made it right.
Yeah. That was good. That was focused and to the point. And I think Wan Young also had a particular message that he wanted to portray throughout that episode.
Which was what?
It's a message to everyone else to kind of get more structure in this podcast.
Or make it entertaining.
Or
enjoyable. All right.
I don't know. It was okay.
Our picks. I am going against Paul. I picked myself to win. We'll see. We'll just talk about your pick, your game. You are going against Chris.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yes.
I need Tavecchio.
Actually, I chose you to win.
Well, thanks, man.
Damn.
Anything's possible.
That sucks. No, that 1% is not possible.
I don't see any points on the board yet, so it's not looking good.
And then let's see. Is there any close matchups? Ooh, Jigabamas and 1. They're down by 5. One's by 5.
They're both losers, so it's not gonna make a difference.
Oh no, it's over. That's Juan already won. I think it's just my matchup that we really need to see. As far as tonight's game go, you are also the first guest on a Monday, right?
Yeah.
So usually everyone's been doing it on a Wednesday, I think. So everything's
Yeah.
been kind of done and wrapped up. I think it's pretty much wrapped up. I think I got this. So you don't want to go too much into fantasy talk. I mean, actual NFL talk, right?
I mean, the only NFL that I know is through fantasy. Like I told you before we started the podcast.
So actually, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's not talk too much about the news, right? But kind of have like our own separate David and NFL thing, right? So explain this to our audience. How do you get so involved or so into fantasy, but not football? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, you go around, and you have these like thoughts.
I have visions, man.
Visions.
Dude, I had a dream
of players, right?
Yeah.
Do you not even know what these players look like, or like what you see names and numbers? Is that like how does this work?
I do think Yahoo's gotten better at having more pictures, because I feel like in years past there were a lot of players who never had a picture. They would just have that like that silhouette of a person.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I would actually never see this person ever. This person, But yeah, they got a lot better at doing that.
But those people that you've never seen, what do you just like is it?
Let me give you kind of an analogy here.
Okay.
But maybe in like kind of a backwards fashion. There's a reason why I don't play fantasy for basketball.
Okay.
And aside from there being more games and all that stuff,
Yep.
it's going to ruin the sport for me. It's a completely different ball game, right? There's fantasy and then there's football.
Okay. How would it ruin it for you?
Because I wouldn't be rooting for the Wizards anymore. I'd be rooting for all these different players across the league who otherwise I would have no affiliation with. Fantasy forces you to break all your subjective ties. It forces you to think differently about the game. It makes you think about offense only.
Or you can, man, I can't say this word. I think Juan had trouble too. Compartmentalize. Oh, there it goes. Right? Compartmentalize it, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I can't do that. See, my brain can't do that. I get stuck in one direction and it can't balance anything else out.
like Ravens played Saints.
Yeah.
Right. Did I have anyone? Oh, I had Drew Brees, but I benched him. I guess that's a bad example. But, you know, like for me, it's...
You can still enjoy the game and root for the Ravens.
So this is how it goes. For me, it's like real fantasy results, real football results, right? I'll put one compartment, right, for that, right? So I'm like, oh, the Ravens won. No, they lost. So, that, you know, bad week. Luckily, all the, Cincinnati lost, Browns lost. Holy crap, the Browns. And then it's about sometimes, depending on, how I feel about Redskins play, like fans, I'll watch it to see if they win or lose. If they lose, it's like, oh, that's a good thing. I'll watch to see if the Steelers win or lose. That's always, But then after that, it's fantasy. It's like, how am I doing fantasy? Oh, am I winning? Mm-hmm. Okay, so sometimes I'll have, weeks where it's like, oh, the Ravens lose, but I win fantasy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's okay. Yeah. And then sometimes, well, both, everything just is terrible. Mm-hmm. Your team loses, you lose all fantasy. It's bad. Yeah. Or sometimes you get all of it. Yeah. Like last week, man, 21-0, 11 sacks, Baltimore.
Dude, that defense is legit.
Yeah. And then see, but how do you say that and not actually watch the games? I mean, because you just looking at the numbers and
it's a ripple effect, because you look for fantasy news. Okay. And just because of that, you see the surrounding football news.
Like kind of like highlights.
Yeah. And because of that, exactly. It just leads to another thing.
You're in you're in the buzz.
Yeah, it's a difference between turning ESPN on and turning ESPN off. Right now. Right. The basketball season just got started, so I'm getting a little bit more interested. Mm-hmm. But if it wasn't for fantasy, I wouldn't watch a lick of football. I told you about this. The thing is,
right before
I don't have any real strong affiliation with a team. I rooted for the 49ers when I was a kid because on Nintendo I played Tecmo Bowl, and that's when Steve Young and Jerry Rice were the best combo. Yep. But beyond that, it's just gone downhill. There was someone who measured this. Okay. So when the ball is snapped to when the play is called dead, the aggregate amount of that time throughout 3 hours of what when it's on TV. Do you know how much time that equates to? From the ball being snapped to the play being called dead. How much of that time?
It would be 60 minutes.
Something like that.
It's the game time.
No, total. Right. Total.
Right. I mean, every time the ball is live, the game clock will be running. Yeah. But in 3 hours.
Oh, did you say 60 minutes?
Yeah, 60
No, it's only about 16 minutes, maybe 12 minutes. I'm saying when the play is called dead, because if you're in bounds, the clock still is running. I'm talking about actual playing time. People. From the ball being snapped to the play being called dead. That's only 12 minutes. You're spending all this time, 3 hours watching 12 minutes. That's what I'm saying. It's the ultimate American sport. Hey, it's a beautiful sport.
Right. Let's talk about that because you mentioned this before our show, right? You said ultimate American sport.
Yep.
But it's a beautiful sport. Let's delve into that. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's a beautiful sport to the extent that I can say that. I don't understand the intricacies of the game, but just by playing Madden for a little bit, you understand that there's a lot going on to make this happen.
What if you understood this intricacies? You think this is something that you could kind of appreciate as far as watching the sport?
It's possible, but if you were to take the time and effort that I put into just fantasy itself, where you just focus on like 12 offensive players, imagine applying that to the entire NFL.
Well, not the entire NFL, just whatever team that you have an inkling for, right? The team you like.
And that urge never really matured beyond Tech Mobile. I think that's the short version of it.
Okay, let's briefly talk about NBA. What about this? Why do you like the NBA more so than...
Well, just personally, I always play basketball.
Okay, so you just understand.
It's just a personal subjectivity about it. The game is a lot more simple than the NFL.
Yeah. I mean,
for sure.
I mean, it's even like plays and stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, like play calling in the NFL versus like basketball is like night and day, you know. Yo, I mean, let's be real.
But analogy time. Okay, there, right? I feel like NBA is like chess.
Don't talk to me about
not chess. Checkers, right? It's like simple, the strategy, right?
Yeah.
But NFL being like chess, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more complex. You got different pieces that do different moves.
But chess is about 1,000 times 1,000 times more complicated than checkers.
And you're saying that's not like the NFL to NBA?
Well, I think that might be a little bit of hyperbole, but I think it serves as an analogy. So you mentioned chess, you know, so right. I'm an avid fan of chess.
Okay, excellent.
Right. So it's been troubling times, you know, I'm 0-6. And my chess record, if you know anything about the world of chess, whether it's the official rating or like on a website, there's something called FIDE. Do you know what that is? It's the equivalent of like FIFA for the soccer is FIDE to chess, right?
Okay.
They're like the official chess federation.
Yes.
Okay. And so there's rankings there. I play on chess.com, but in either format or whatever format, you know, if you have a sub 1,000 record, sub 1,000 ranking, it means you stink. Okay. Sub as in below 1,000. It means you stink.
Below 1,000.
Below 1,000.
So if it was like 500,
then you're playing with your eyes closed or something. I don't know. No, that means you're awful. It goes up. The higher the number is, the better. Yeah.
I see.
Oh, by ranking, I don't mean like person number 1, number 2, number 3. This is just a numerical ranking that attributes. Exactly.
Okay.
All right, you said analogy time, so let me give you an analogy here. This might serve as a segue to trade talk too, because
let's do it.
Here's my problem with trades.
Okay.
All right. I'm not thinking about just that one trade.
Okay.
All right, and this is what really frustrates me.
All right.
I'm thinking about the trade after the trade that I'm about to propose,
and
the trade after that one.
You're chessing it up.
Exactly.
You're chess.
This is chess. You think. You know, the grandmasters, they think like 4, 6, 8, 20 moves ahead. Okay?
I have a friend that's up there.
Okay, can you teach me?
I mean, he does do lessons.
Really?
Yeah. No, I'm serious.
All right, we'll talk more about him after because I need some serious help on my chess game.
No, he got a full ride to UMBC.
I hear UMBC has a legit squad.
I think at one point he was like ranked like in top 10.
Yeah.
And at first we didn't believe him, so we all played. We played him in chess.
Yeah.
This is a huge side topic tangent, but
yeah,
cool story. It was 4 of us, right? And we played him in chess, all of us at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude was blindfolded.
Yeah.
And he beat all of us.
Oh, that's the thing, man. If you're at a certain level, you don't need to see the board because the board's in your head.
But he saw 4 of them.
Yeah.
4 of them. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, how the hell do you know what move we're gonna make? And he had to explain like how we had to call the moves. But afterwards, like he was just like,
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? He beat all of us. That's
great. Yeah, he's my role model. He's what I want to be.
Yeah. Oh man.
But you know, like the legit players, like the Magnus Carlsens of the world, he's ranked number 1. I think he's still ranked number 1 right now.
Okay.
He can do like 16 boards in his head.
That's crazy.
Like they're just a different breed, and Anyways, we're talking about chess. I think we're losing our
We
audience
are.
here. But the analogy was about trades.
Right.
So this is why I suck at chess.
Okay.
Because I'm always getting ahead of myself. The same thing with trades. I'm thinking about, okay, if I make this trade, I'll have these players. And if I have these players, then I can make this trade. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And guess what?
What point
I forget what roster I actually have at that current time. All right. So this is the ultimate frustrating thing. Well, this is why I'm terrible at chess, right?
Okay.
Because the same thing happens. I get like 2-4 moves in my head. I'm like, oh, try and keep track. And guess what? Next move, I get checkmated because I just forgot where I was and my king was trapped.
Right.
Or something stupid like that.
Okay.
Right? So in the trade world of things, so when someone vetoes my trade,
Yeah.
all right, they think, oh, they're being cute. They're vetoing my trade, But here's the reality, okay? What you just vetoed was not just one event. It was a whole string of events that I had spent hours planning out.
And this is why you veto every trade, huh?
Well, no. Okay, so for the record, every trade that I have proposed that has gone through to the Kakao group, I have been 100% serious about. So I know I've vetoed even some of my own trades, but there's reason behind that. Okay, so example number 1, to Chungo. Okay. He offered Corey Davis and Kenyon Drake for, I think it was Le'Veon Bell, James Conner.
Yes.
Or something like that. Okay.
That was.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you have your own opinions about that trade. For me, it doesn't make a difference because my team stinks either way, right?
Right. You need to make moves to drastic. You have to start risking bigger.
Yeah, so this is a confusing thing about that whole trade system right now is that there's up to 2 days in which you can collect those votes.
Right.
But if you get the votes immediately, then it goes through or it gets rejected immediately.
Yeah.
So I made this trade, I think, on a Friday night. So if you take 2 calendar days after that,
It's...
or if you take 48 hours, you're actually going to be after the initial kickoff. Right. But to lay people like us, we're not sure when that trade's going to go through.
Right.
So when I offer that trade, or when he offered that trade, I forget which way it went, I was hoping that it was going to go through before kickoff on Sunday, but it didn't. We didn't have enough votes. People have lives over the weekends apparently, so we only got like 3-4 votes in.
So then you rejected because you didn't want to.
No. I rejected because James Conner blew up. He got like 30 points that game. Yeah. So I voted to veto so I could re-leverage James Conner because now he had more value. So that's why I vetoed my own trade there. I think there's another example that I vetoed, and I'm trying to think of it. So just for the record, for whatever these examples were, like in all seriousness, when I veto a trade, like I know if it's going to go through or not. My vote's not going to be the swing vote, okay?
Yeah. Although it would be pretty cool if it was.
Yeah, right? It would.
What were we talking about? Trades.
Oh my gosh, I have to. So before I forget, I have to elaborate on this narrative with Epic James time.
Sure.
Because after that whole debacle, week 3 or 4, whenever that was, I was disgruntled. About that because if I had just 1 or 2 wins, my whole strategy would have changed. I wouldn't be so desperate like I am now.
I mean but that's how it goes.
All
It's like if you're in 3-3, you're not gonna make bigger, like roster moves. Except for James, I don't know why James did that.
I think he caught that trade fever.
Bug,
man. Yo, I've never seen so many trades.
That's what I'm saying.
It's amazing.
This I thought this would be a fantastic year for you. I thought you would be loving it, but
this system is broken. But let me expand a little bit more on what I mentioned before.
Well, I just want to mention that no one's really put that time aspect yet into it. We've had a lot of talks on our episodes on our shows about is this the perfect system?
No.
Is there room for improvement? Which
Definitely.
I think everyone agrees, but no one's ever brought up the time aspect of it, and I actually didn't even think about it until now.
Okay.
And I did notice that. Oh, you get the votes quick.
It's confusing.
You'll go through.
Oh, that reminds me of why I vetoed the other trade that I was a part of, and that was for a Josh Gordon for a Joe Mixon.
Okay.
All right, and people veto that trade. I understand. Yeah. Would I still have made that trade? Absolutely.
You were sending Joe
Mixon for a Josh Gordon. Have you seen that episode of The Office when when everyone in the office is having like a flea market thing, and they're trying, and Dwight Schrute, right? He starts off with like a pencil, and he trades all the way up to a telescope or some crap, right?
So
That's
this is your
what
process.
I'm thinking, right?
That's what you're thinking.
Do you know what Josh Gordon was? Do you know how I would get Josh Gordon? I wasn't trading Joe Mixon. I was trading Mark Ingram for him. If he told me 4 weeks ago that I could trade Mark Ingram for a Josh Gordon on the New England Patriots, most definitely.
I think that would get proved.
Yeah, I don't get stuck on this like intermediary value. I don't care. I'm thinking about the beginning to the end.
Yeah. That's interesting. See, and that's what we need. This is what we need. We need a I don't know.
So I veto that trade.
Maybe we can do a multiple deal package. What do you think?
I mean, more ambition the greater.
Right. I feel like you would be the one that would be really taking this on.
There's some
to its fullest value.
There are some preceding steps that we would have to take to even entertain something like that. Mm-hmm. But I did veto that trade, and it was because I think it was Josh Gordon was playing on a Thursday night, and I was trying to liquidate Joe Mixon quickly. All right. But the problem was there was like motherfucking honksters, Beat Yo Kids, and like a couple other teams that still hadn't voted yet. And it was sitting on like 5 votes for reject. So I knew what was coming. And so I just vetoed myself so I could then continue to have trade talks with Joe Mixon. Right. That's the only reason why I vetoed, not because the trade was bad.
Now, what if there's a trade that's not involving you, trade between someone else? Do you always just reject?
Okay. Well, I mean, out of spite, yes, of course.
Okay. Salty David.
But if someone were to reach out to me with a sentimental heart, and say, hey, it looks like this vote is really, on the balance of things. Of
if
course.
You were that swing vote.
Yeah. But nothing I've really vetoed, right, was going to get rejected.
That's true. I think you were always just like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Dude, I just looked over. There's 6 minutes left in the first half, and it's 0-0. This is very not good for me. This is very, very not good.
Well, I guess Savecchio is not going to pick up them 50 points that he needs to pick up.
We might be on the losing end here this week. Let's get into the trade talks real quick. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the latest trade, which was my trade, sending Isaiah Crowell to Sammy Watkins for Scott's Lamar Miller and Tyler Lockett. Now, this is what I want to do because usually I would break this down between like, who got the better value. I talk a little bit about like the team, maybe like their matchups, blah blah. But let's talk about what you think as how you see it, because you only see these like fantasy aspect of it, right? So what do you think about that trade? I sent Isaiah Crowell, Sammy Watkins for Scott's Lamar Miller and Tyler Lockett. Is that something that you go, oh, this is, any players there you go, ooh, that might be?
So I'm the opposite of a fan of Lamar Miller.
Yeah.
My immediate reaction to that is Blessed, Chung-O's team. He's got Deontay Foreman on the team. He's on the pup list or something like that. But he's about to get reinstated.
Okay.
So I think he's trying to be sneaky there, and he's trying to. He could be a sleeper of the sleepers there, because Deontay Foreman, when he was, or maybe it's Dante Foreman. I'm sure if I'm pronouncing his name right.
For Texans.
Yeah, but that was my immediate reaction. There's no value in Lamar Miller, and that offense is pure pass, right?
Okay.
If anything with the run game, it's gonna be
Donta from Foreman.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
But he had a pretty decent week this week. But you're saying that it's going to be limited.
His ceiling is very low.
Yeah, I actually agree. I didn't really want Lamar Miller. Initially, I think the trade proposal was Isaiah Crowell. I think he wanted Sammy Watkins for Lamar Miller.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I don't know.
I don't really want Lamar Miller. Let me look at your team.
These are such like precise trades.
Well, so for me, I didn't want Lamar Miller. I wanted a receiver, right?
Right.
I was sitting pretty with James White, Saquon Barkley, right? So I was like, let me get some receiver. And I looked at Tyler Lockett on buy. I was like, I'll take him, and I'll send you Isaiah Crowell, which is always, shooter, hit or miss. Now that Bilal Powell is out, I might, but Scott was also a victim of this. He was trying to do a multi-trade with Chris, but his first trade being rejected with Chris and I forgot who it was. It was Chris and James, the Tucker trade. And because of that,
wait, what was that trade?
That trade was let's talk about. James sends Allen Robinson for and Justin Tucker for Kerryon Johnson.
All right. So I remember Chris Young in the Kakao group.
Yeah.
All right, talking about this, and I said, hold up a second. There's some backstory to this.
Okay.
So here it comes.
All right.
So that week when James calls me, I said that he was trying to pull some other strings and get a bit more value in that trade.
Okay.
The other player that he really wanted in that deal was Matt Breida.
For your Matt Breida.
I don't know what the package would look like. Yeah, for my Matt.
Okay.
He's still my Matt Breida.
Yeah. Okay.
I picked him up like week 3 in 2017, and he just disappointed me. Right, with
but
that negative 0.5, whatever. Right, so I had him on my team.
Okay.
People understood that he had a high ceiling.
Yeah,
right.
He did. He's one of those stash players, and you just hope that.
I wasn't stashing; I was starting him. But that's kind of speaking more about my team than anything else.
Yeah.
So James really wanted this guy.
Okay.
Right, he was like, "Give me Matt, give me Breida." Right?
Okay.
I was like, "No, James, the trade's a trade. We already agreed to this." And he was like, "No, fine," and he hung up. Right.
Okay.
And so here it comes. I see this trade, Allen Robinson, and he's been trying to trade Allen Robinson ever since he drafted him.
Okay.
And so I see that trade. He said Kerryon Johnson, right?
Kerryon Johnson.
Which is kind of came to bite me in the butt because it beat your kids, right? Kerryon Johnson this week, he got like 20 points, but whatever, man. I'm a loser, so it doesn't matter how much I lose by.
And that's another thing, like, when people trade because they're matching up with it against other people, it's I don't know. I feel like a perfect trading system is almost impossible unless we start putting cash.
Cash.
Yeah, the auction system.
Let's save that for later.
Okay,
That's a whole other, but let me just finish.
I feel like you'd be a fan.
I think it would be very, very exciting.
Yeah, I think you would be a very big fan. I think you would thrive in it. You would thrive in it. Think about it. You would just know exactly how much cash to give in.
I would probably just like dump all of it on a single player and be done with it.
A Cam Newton, man, you've been drafting Cam like every year.
Dude, you know what the funny thing is? I don't like that guy.
Why? Why do you keep on drafting him?
Yahoo's like, oh, he's the next best pick. Like, you're right, Yahoo. I don't know why I ever trust. I hate those guys. The fearless forecast people. Yeah. They're idiots, man. There's that one guy who always speaks in like a presidential voice. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no, I don't listen to
There's this one dude, the bald dude. Okay, my dream is to have a roster of players where every single player has a fearless forecast.
That's what I do. I just look and I'm like, oh, they have one. He must be good. I don't actually listen to it, right?
But those guys are idiots. Like, those are people who are like me. They don't know anything about football, but they're really honed in on fantasy. Like what that one guy was just like Terrell Pryor, week 1, 2017, and he said like 15 catches for 120 yards and 6 touchdowns. Right? That guy. That's where I'm getting my advice. So I'm never gonna watch that video again or those videos again. Because it's the same like one of those other guys said Matt Breida was going to pick up like 19 points.
Not to sidetrack too much, but and not to give away your secrets, right? But
secrets.
Like what you like is that your main resource for fantasy?
No, I look at Spark scores.
Okay.
And then I look at your typical YPC, YAC.
Okay. Do you see? I feel like you're a big numbers guy. You like to look at the numbers,
for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
What about like other podcasts or videos? Like there's other things
this is
out
where
there.
it gets dangerous, man. Like I can understand why people stick to the numbers because if you don't, you're in for a world of hurt.
If you don't stick to the numbers.
If you don't stick to the numbers, you can get suckered.
Moneyballer here, man.
You do it on purpose to be focused on something tangible. All right? You go into like the subjective and what other people are saying, and you could spend hours and hours like I do, right? Watching film of like high school tape, right? Of these sleepers of sleepers. Like, of course these guys are going to look like they're beasts in high school. I was even watching I forgot who it was. I was watching middle school tape of this one dude. I was like, oh yeah, man, he's a sleeper. You look at him. Look at him with his bobblehead helmet.
But it's one thing to look for sleepers, right? But you have to know what's going on with that team.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
And that's something that statistics won't really, like the Jaguars are falling apart right now,
Yeah.
right? So if you're just looking at Blake Bortles' number, you're looking
That's
at
true.
When is Leonard Fournette coming back?
You do have to
right?
temper it against the overall.
Right. And almost like common sense would say, man, stay away from Jags right now because they just look like they have no idea what they're doing. They don't.
Yep.
They can't figure themselves out.
Yeah.
And there's no stats that'll tell you that. You know what I mean?
That's true, but I think
That's why podcasts. If you listen to different podcasts, these are things because they kind of keep you in the loop of.
I'd say the mainstream podcasts they're garbage.
You think so?
Matthew Berry, dude, that guy is the worst.
Oh man, yeah, Matthew.
That
Berry
guy is the
yeah.
worst, man. And trust me, I've watched him.
But their jobs is to just
Be entertaining.
not even be entertained. Just put so many
Because he ain't being
ridiculous
factual.
claims and
Yeah.
predictions, so that when they hit, they look like they're geniuses.
Dude.
I mean, look at my picks. My picks, I was like, I thought Todd Gurley. I predicted Todd Gurley would go out with a high ankle sprain.
Oh, you don't want to
man.
predict injuries, man.
This is what I'm just making bold claims because when it happens, Jameis Winston, right? Jameis Winston
All right.
for 30
Honestly, when that happened, I was looking at our matchup and I was like, this man needs a QB.
Yep.
And so I was thinking, who do I drop on my roster to even
pick
put him on the waiver? That's what I was thinking through. But the thing is, I was 0-5.
Yeah.
I don't have roster spots to afford to be cute like that. And look what happens.
Wait, who's your quarterback?
Right now it's Cam, and I got Andy Dalton on the bench.
Man, I feel like this is all over the place. But let's go over your team real quick here.
I should probably finish that story though. By the way, when I was about Kerryon Johnson.
Oh yes,
and Allen Robinson.
Yes, right. So
all right,
James ends up trying to send Allen Robinson,
yeah,
and Justin Tucker for Chris's Kerryon Johnson and Dan Bailey, and kick you in the butt a little bit because.
Well, whatever. I don't care.
Okay, but go ahead.
This season's lost, man. The most damage I can do is not to my team; it's to other people.
That's true.
So I saw this trade come out, and I was like, I remember. James wanted Matt Breida. Okay, so I messaged him. I was like, yo, Allen Robinson? Yo, give me Allen Robinson. I'll give you Matt Breida.
Okay.
And he was like, really?
Are you serious?
I was like, yeah, of course, man. And so I go in with the veto. I was like, hey, man, you got to reject this. It's close. And so that's why James rejected his own trade.
No way. And then what happened?
And then he's like, all right, Mandoo, here's Allen Robinson for Matt Breida.
And you're like,
I can show you the message in Kakao. The
Okay.
response was, I think I sent that about 5 times.
oh my goodness.
And he says like you weren't serious about this trade, were you? I was like, and then he said, well played.
Oh my God. If I had the look on his face at that moment where he was like, you weren't serious.
Oh, that's not the first one, man. I pulled another one. I'm trying to get as many as I can this year from James.
Because James, well, actually, let's talk about James's trade happiness, right? So he sent OBJ for Juan's OBJ for David Johnson, which I think we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
Great trade, I think, for James. No, great for
neither.
Juan. No, I think whoever picked up David Johnson is better than OBJ. OBJ is a home run hitter. He's not going to be consistent. I don't believe in New York. But
yeah.
The other one is James sending Zach Ertz for David James Juju.
Well, James picked up Greg Olsen, right? So I can
why-
understand the logic there. I probably would do the same thing. But right now, like Carson Wentz, he is always looking at Ertz. Like that's his go-to
man.
guy.
Zach Ertz will get so many targets.
He doesn't even have that good of hands. Well, what do you think? I don't. Again, like my football knowledge isn't up there. But
no, I think he's got solid hands. I
Okay.
think he's got solid hands. He's
Yeah.
just.
let's just put it this way. If I was James, I would make that trade in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I looked at it first, which I actually approved of, but initially I was gonna be like, hell no, there's no way. Clear tight end one, probably one of the best, if not the best tight end right now, right? For a wide receiver, 2 lower wide receiver.
Oh, is that my phone? Sorry.
It's okay. But then I looked at his roster, and this is the one time I actually looked at someone's roster after the trade.
Yeah.
Where I was like, why would he even send this? And I was like, oh, Greg Olsen. Okay. And then I traded it. I approved it. I was like, that's why he did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's great. That's great for David, and it's great for James.
Yeah.
So I approved it. You agree? Solid trade. It's okay, right? And then James sends Funchess and Chris Thompson for Cohen and Jarvis.
Funchess and Thompson.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a tricky one.
It was. It
You
was. I actually think JB. I don't know. Terry Cohen, man, he's gonna get the looks, man. OJ Howard is
Jordan Howard.
Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
Jordan Howard is slowly getting, I think, less carries.
I don't know why he was so hyped up.
Yeah, I don't
in
know.
the
Terry
beginning.
Cohen is
But he's
a
not
stud.
getting the touches. You know, he blew up last year.
No. He
He got the touches
Yeah,
this year. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think he's just because of his size. They're just afraid to treat him as an all-purpose back, right? So he's not going to get a lot of those early downs. That would be my guess.
I feel like they're letting Mitch kind of air it out.
Yeah, that's the other
right?
thing too.
And Terry
Mitch,
Cohen's gonna be that the one that lines up in the slot.
yeah,
Runs from backfield out to do a routes. He's gonna be that guy.
he's a boomer, right? So
Yeah.
like, if I'm in that position, I'm always going for the boomer. Go big or go home.
And then he also gets Jarvis Landry, which Cleveland or not,
he's probably on the up, right?
always has that potential, right?
The offense is always going to
For
improve.
Funchess and Chris Thompson. Now Funchess had a pretty good game, I think.
Yeah,
But where has he been before?
he's always been more of a possession receiver, though. Funchess.
Because I think he's been pretty quiet for the first.
Yeah, he
5
was,
weeks, right?
but that's just a symptom of the offense at Carolina. And the only reason why I know this is because I have Cam, so I look at how that offense performs, right? And I have a bit of a man crush on DJ Moore.
Yeah.
All right. Me and Chung Ho go about this back and forth, like week after week. I got such a man crush on that guy. But anyways, yeah, Funchess, he's not going to make a splash, If he doesn't find the end zone, he's not going to get you the points that you need.
I will say I did not like this trade, but I like a little bit more now after seeing Funchess play. Like I actually saw Funchess. Well, I saw a good.
Yeah, but if you didn't watch the second half of that game,
Right.
you would think that was the worst trade ever.
Yeah,
Because that offense was doing nothing. Yeah, that's the thing about Cam's offense, too. Like, it can look like genius for a quarter, and the next quarter, it looks like they don't know how to play football.
It's like, where did they go?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we talked about the Jameses, Allen Robinson and Tucker for Kerryon Jones. Again, Chris, just don't do it. Don't get suckered by that Ravens.
Well, Kerryon Johnson looks legit, though.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
But that's what I'm saying. He was sending Kerryon Johnson
Right.
and Dan Bailey.
So I helped
for
him
Allen
out.
Robinson for
You're
Tucker.
welcome, Young.
Yeah,
That was for you.
yeah, absolutely. James sends Deshaun Jackson for David Hughes, A. Jones.
Yeah.
This was approved. Let's talk about this.
Man, that feels like it was 5 weeks ago.
Was it?
No, it was this past week.
Yeah,
You're right.
17th.
But whatever.
Whatever. You're just trying.
Dude, I'm just looking for receivers now. I'm just kind of like collecting all these like B- receivers now, just hoping that someone breaks out.
I don't know how high you are in waivers, but since you're in last place, I thought I might help you.
I'm in last place.
You're in last place.
Are you sure, man?
I think so.
Thanks.
I'll check. But Jakeem Grant, you heard about him?
Jakeem Grant.
Yes, the wide receiver everyone should pick up because Kenny Stills is out with Albert Wilson.
Oh
being out.
yeah.
Your receiver, if you're high on the waiver, I already put my claim in. I don't know what I'm at right now. Let me see here.
I don't know. Like Miami's offense
Waiver wire 9.
is Ryan Tannehill playing?
No. Well, actually, I don't know about next week, but it was Brock Osweiler this week. So, and I thought Albert Wilson would blow up again with Brock Osweiler, but he got hurt. So that's what I'm saying. Jakeem Grant. Let's see. Any more trades? I think that was all our trades. Man, that's a lot of trades.
Yeah, it's
That is
impressive.
a lot of trades. I'm trying to. I kind of want to like maybe just count like how many trades were even just offered through Kakao Talk, right? Just because it's impressive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the years before.
Oh
this
yeah,
is
the uptick
nothing,
in
right?
trades compared to last year. My goodness.
What do you think's causing it?
I think partly the new system. People are inclined to make more trades.
New system? What do you mean new system?
Like the whole new, because before it was very easy for a trade to be vetoed. So I think it discouraged anyone. You know what the funny thing is?
What?
When we first proposed this system, and I think James made a point of this later on, like when the commissioner put this out,
Okay.
he said, yeah, it's going to require 7 votes to reject. And I was thinking at first, like, there's no way people are going to be rejecting trades now. Because that's 7 of 10 people, right? Because there's 2 people involved in that transaction. And so I didn't make any noise about that. Because I was like, this is great. That means all the trades that I proposed are going to go through now. Well, much to my disappointment, that it didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
But now I think the system's broken.
Broken. How so?
How
would you change it?
We talked about the timing aspect of this already.
Right.
But
I mean, I feel like if it with the timing thing, I feel like it could be an easy fix, or it could be
just get rid of the whole system. Okay, I think we've used a lot of analogies today.
Right.
I think this is going to be the most ambitious one.
Okay, here we go.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. So in the news recently,
Yes.
there's been a lot of talk about tariffs.
Right.
Between the U.S. and other countries, in particular China.
Okay.
Okay. Aside from the politics, and there's a lot more intricacies around it, I think, than most people realize. Right. But it just reminded me, though. Right. When I was in school, I took a global econ course.
Global econ course.
Okay. Global econ course. And one of the very first things that you learn in this course, or in econ in general, is what? Tariffs are inefficient to the global market.
Yes.
All right. Tariffs are barriers to free trade. And that's what this whole veto system is. It's a barrier to free trade.
Man. It is.
So I implore our commissioner, I implore our fellow team managers, you included, of course,
Okay.
to imagine this league where this barrier is gone. Just imagine all the transactions that could be made. Imagine how optimal your roster could be.
I feel like if we did indeed get rid of this barrier that you say,
Yep.
It would open up the doors for more intricate trades. Right?
Yeah.
Right now it's very 1-for-1. It's like it's very hard to be like you said, I'm gonna trade for this guy because I want this guy. You know what I mean? But if it was like if just from agreement, no one had to veto or anything.
Yep.
I might look at this trade and be like, what? Joe Mixon for Josh Gordon, right? But then the next trade I see is, Josh Gordon for Mark Ingram. I'd be like, damn, that's sly. That's because ultimately you got, what you thought would be a better.
I do think people have tunnel vision right now, and they're forced to have that because they can't think beyond that immediate trade. Right? The probability of any trade going through right now is what? Maybe like 70%. Right? You're not going to be thinking trades ahead when you only have a 70% chance of hitting on your first one. That's why this is so frustrating, because I'm not the only person thinking about stringing trades.
That's true.
Now, if you get rid of this whole system, okay, first off, there's kind of a side effect here that's happening.
Okay.
Where if you were to remove this whole veto system, then people will think twice about making a trade, because now, since trades are being rejected, right? They think, oh, there's always that kind of last second check and balance that will happen in case the trade really doesn't make sense.
Right.
If it's just mano y mano, you're going to think differently. You're going to take a second look at that trade and say, am I really ready to make this trade?
Yes, because it's finalized.
Exactly.
It's finalized.
Exactly. That.
Right? I mean, the fact that you can actually, one, vote for yourself and reject yourself, right?
That was a funny side effect.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then, but not only that, you can also change your votes I don't know if you noticed, right? So it's like you can vote, and you're like, oh shit, James Conner just blew up.
Yeah, I don't think.
Reject.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think anyone really thought about that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's another thing, right? But yeah, once you know that if I hit accept here, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. It makes things definitely. But then again, does that make it more? Do people get a little more hesitant? Does that bring it back to the days of no one traded anything? Everyone's looking through waiver wires. You know what I mean?
I think it's a beautiful thing.
You think it's a beautiful thing?
Oh my gosh.
I
just imagine this system, and just the prospect of it brings me so much joy. You don't understand. When a trade gets rejected, I feel like I'm being rejected. That's what it feels like. All that time and effort that I put into it, just on the whim, you decide to veto this trade. Let's be real. A lot of the times people aren't looking at the actual trade. You guys were distinguishing, you and Wanyang last week were talking about how you look at the 1-to-1 trade, and really it's about the marginal value to your roster, right? How does that one player actually contribute to the overall value of your team? Not how much does that one player deliver, right? People get stuck on that sometimes. That's the whole thing with the Joe Mixon, Josh Gordon thing. Because I had 5 running backs, and James, right. He teases me all the time. You can't start 5 running backs. Right?
It's like, yeah, well, I know.
Well, no,
that's the plan, right?
No, yeah, exactly.
Right.
But that's the thing. It's like a lot of the times people aren't even looking at the 1-to-1. They're just saying, haha, Mandoo, reject. Right? The same thing happens to other teams too.
Maybe we need a system where it shows you your roster. Right? So it's like, if we agree to a trade.
No.
No.
I mean, not to cut you off, I just think that's
too complicated.
The only fix is to remove it.
Just remove it.
Just remove it. I think we'd be surprised what we get.
So we have, and I thought this episode would go a little longer than our 1 hour. But let's start wrapping things up. We went through this week's pick. With I think we talked about everything. This week, we talked about all our trades. Is there anything else you want to say, sir? Any announcements you want everyone to hear? Any trash talk? I actually have a couple questions here for you.
Oh, okay.
So, but we'll do the questions.
Yeah.
Here we go. One, why is your team so bad?
Why is my team so bad? It's a very relative question.
It's a very relative question?
Yes, exactly. Well, the answer is very relative. I do have a lot of losses, I understand. But again, my philosophy is not to nickel and dime myself these wins. It's about assembling the best team going into the playoffs. So for the rest of y'all who are counting your wins week by week, find as much satisfaction as you can, because they don't mean anything until you win a championship.
That's true.
And there's only one team that can do that.
And there's no better expert here than winning championships.
Thank you.
Right. Number 2, what are you doing? What are you going to do with all this extra time now that you're 0-7? We actually kind of talked about this, right?
Yes, it's a blessing.
Have you thrown in the towel yet? As far are we getting closer there? You still think you can pull the 7-6 and?
So I was looking at the league, the standings, and there is a scenario in which a 6-7 team could make the playoffs. It's very possible.
I would have to really look into it and see.
I tried working the math out. Okay, let's be real. Okay. If I lose tonight, which unless Tavecchio kicks 7 field goals in the next 3 minutes, which doesn't seem likely. I'm going to be 0-7. Chances are low.
Chances are low at that point.
But what was the question again?
I said, have you thrown in the towel? Have you thrown in the towel yet?
Very close.
Very close.
Here's the thing, man. I just get I'm so optimistic.
You are, man.
People call it delusion.
Yeah, I think people will call it that.
Here's the thing. When you add obsession with delusion,
you get Mandoo.
You get depression.
You get depression.
That's what's going to happen here. Like my ups and downs are pretty severe when it comes to fantasy.
Oh man, there's always next year, sir.
Yeah,
Actually, is there? Oh, can we expect a return of the Mandoo?
you know, if anything, my participation this year will or already has brought about change.
I think it has.
You know,
You're very fundamental to this whole.
so I will
trading.
be a martyr for this league in order to bring about this change that is much needed. You know, I see. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about philosophy again when it comes to fantasy. Those teams that are not active. Look, I understand people have wives, they have kids, but that's your situation. That's not mine.
That's true.
Okay?
That's
Of
true.
course your kids are more important than who you pick up from the waiver wire.
That is true.
You know, these are obvious facts. So I'm not dogging you for it.
So you know what we got to do, David,
What's
right?
that?
Is since you're always picking up the free agents, right?
Yeah.
Right at Wednesday, we need to talk Wednesday morning when I wake up, so we can talk about trades.
That would be
right?
so crazy.
Right? I mean, hey, there would be nothing greater right now. Well, the greatest thing right now would be if I win this Powerball tomorrow or the Mega Million.
Oh my gosh.
Right? But if I can't win this league, it would be awesome if you win, because that would be great podcasting material.
Dude, I got nervous when you started because I thought you were going to say something really serious, and so I got kind of tongue-tied.
You're like, oh shit,
like,
man,
oh my
I don't know if
gosh.
I want to be here, right?
I know that's how I was feeling.
You're like, damn, he's gonna say he has like cancer or something. I don't know if I want to be. No, no, it's 100% hoping for $1 billion cash payout. That'd be great. And the last question we have here: when are you buying the ring?
Buying the what?
Buying the ring.
Oh, buying the ring.
Buying the ring.
Oh man, this quickly pivoted from fantasy talk to real life talk, didn't it? My gosh. Whew. Who posed that question?
That was the commish.
I like a mish.
Yes.
Well.
Oh look, 40-yard attempt.
Oh my gosh, let me check my.
That's you got
Dude, is that 1%? 1.5% now? Oh no, it's still 1%.
Yeah, nah, still 1%.
I hate yeah. Well, to the question.
Uh-oh. My son's awake.
I think that.
Go ahead.
Oh. It's gonna take some time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because things aren't quite settled yet.
Oh, so
You know?
it's definite. I mean, it's
My intentions are clear,
okay.
and I've made, I think, my intentions clear. Right, but
To
I
both
think
parties.
circumstances. I'm going to be a bit vague on this.
Okay.
Right, if you can offer me that type of
Yeah, of
levity
course.
here.
Of course, absolutely.
But
I mean,
I've made
but-
my intentions.
But
Mhm.
I think it's pretty safe to say that our audience for this podcast is very limited to maybe 10 people.
Yes,
Right?
I keep things very close to the chest. What can I say?
That's
But
true.
even having said that, my intentions are clear.
This is true.
But I think the dust has to settle a little bit, right? Just in terms of like what the next couple of years are going to look like.
That's true.
So, I mean, I'm not stressed out about it. All right. I think there is a plan.
Yeah.
And it's more solid than my team. I can tell you that much for sure.
Anything else you want to say, sir?
Well, as a closing remark, I just want to revisit the whole trade thing again.
Okay.
I mentioned that the NFL is a very American sport.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And in the same vein, we have to remove these barriers.
Same berries.
We have to remove these barriers to free trade.
Go out and vote, guys.
Did you think about like all the great American leaders and entrepreneurs that we've had in the past?
Okay.
Did they think about all
Carnegie.
that they could lose?
Carnegie.
No, Andrew Carnegie. He thought about all he was ambitious. He had dreams. It's the only American thing to do is to remove this veto system.
Do you think this is how you were successful the first 2 years? Maybe you were sliding these trades a little bit more.
Well, that's the funny thing is because, like I made a joke about this earlier where there are some teams, not to call them out, that are less active than others. So I thought a 7-vote veto was never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very surprising that.
Well, excuse me. But the thing about our system now is that they, it's posted.
Yeah.
You get a message. You get a little notification. On
I
your
think it's too
phone.
much work for the
Right.
motherfucking honksters too.
I'm sure it is, but when it came to just using fantasy, it'll say, you'll get an email saying like, oh, this trade. But as long as it's not between you, I never really care. I was like, okay, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever really reject.
Well, you're a better man than me.
I try not to reject, man, unless I really think it's not fair. And I know.
Exactly.
I know there's more I can do to look at teams and stuff. And like I said, not a fan. Well, not a perfect system yet.
Oh, not a perfect system.
It's a work in progress. Speaking of which, before we end this, I think the commish wants to do a mid-year episode. It might be next week. I'm not sure. I still have to talk to Paul about it.
With the commissioner?
With the commish. Just see where people are standing.
I would like to understand exactly what happened at the beginning of the year for him to have the first pick.
Yeah, I know.
I would like to see some hard documentation.
I don't think he has it.
Exactly.
David, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Topher.
We can end it here, but we can also talk.
You got the track queued up? I think that would be a fitting way to close it up.
Close it. Here we go.
I'm a loser.
You need to check out Hearthstone.
What's that?
It's
yeah. Hey, are you getting Call of Duty?
I don't have a lot of time to play a lot of games anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, actually, just even podcasting alone kind of.
Dude, that's the thing. I'm impressed that you can carve out this time and do stuff like this.
Man, actually, my work schedule just got a little bit better, so hopefully it'll be more smoother.
Cool.
But it's just finding time to meet with the guests and talk. Right. Everything else is kind of just, it took me like 10 seconds to cut that song up. It's everything's saved. Everything is.
Well, you're a pro at it, but I like, especially getting that stuff started, it takes some time, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, at the beginning, that's why it took so long. It
Yeah.
was just like, where do I start?
Right.
And it definitely came a long way, but still a lot more work. You haven't even seen this.
What's that?
On the bottom here.
What is that?
A mixer.
Oh, the mixer.
A full mixer. Right. So, yeah, you gotta check out Hearthstone, because especially when we're talking about this is the after show discussion.
Wow.
So when people don't want to listen, they don't want to listen.
I gotta talk to your friend first about chess.
Oh yeah. I'll definitely
some lessons.
I will definitely. Let me see if he's actually.
But you know what the thing is though? He's probably way too good that it's not even worth his time to teach someone like me.
No, not at all. I think he teaches a lot of kids.
Oh, that's just because he's a good person.
Oh, he's a great person. He's a fantastic.
No
person.
doubt.
And he would be definitely someone that would he
like,
takes it very seriously.
What I'm saying though is like I lack the fundamentals and the basics that I can learn in multiple different areas.
Uh-huh.
For me to leverage his particular knowledge, I'm so far off from that level. So it would be a waste of time for him.
No, but by him working with beginners and people of different skill set, right? Yeah. It gives him experience to be able to find out, what kind of fundamental is he lacking?
Yeah.
To work with you, to be able to, I mean, I can ask him. Who knows? Maybe he'll be like,
nah, I mean, he's probably a bit like I would imagine one day in my life I'll be able to put up a fight.
Virginia.
Okay.
He lives in Virginia if you wanted to go over there. He actually also plays Hearthstone too. So
you still play that, huh?
I haven't after Garrett. So before Garrett was born, when my wife was pregnant, a month before he was due, I went on a freaking grind to get to Legend, the highest rank of it. I finally got there because I just knew it took a lot of time. I got there, and after that, I haven't really played. And then last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, I was sick at work, deathly sick. I caught something from Garrett.
Oh.
So I was just in the back office. I was just in a fetal position. I couldn't really do anything.
Gosh.
So
this is when?
This is a couple Fridays ago.
Oh dang!
So I just turned on my laptop and I started watching the Hearthstone championships.
Yeah.
Right, just because that's what I used to do.
Dude, I didn't know it was still a thing.
Oh yeah, man. They every like 3 months they come out with like new packs. It's like kind of like Magic, I guess now.
Right.
But so I started watching it and I was like, okay. So I kind of got back into it. For me though, personally, the way I get back into it is if there's a deck that's kind of legitimate that I like, right? And have you played it? No,
but I can follow what you're saying. I think.
Yeah. So it's like
if this is anything like Magic, you mean?
Yeah. It's, you get to construct your deck, right? You can get to put different pieces, right? And because of that, you get to do different themed decks, right? Mm-hmm. And one particular theme that I really like is something called mill. The whole idea is like to make your opponent like go through all the cards really, 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 really fast so that they have no cards left. Right? It's just it's kind of like a little like trickery, gimmicky kind of thing, but I find it so fun. And there was this mill deck because of these new cards that came out that made it really good. So I started playing it, and I started playing it, and now I'm just loving it again. Man, Blizzard, they'll always do it.
Yeah, I only played it like a couple of times, and it just didn't hook me.
Really?
But I think it's one of those things like you have to play a little bit more to understand the
hardest thing about that is it's a card game still, so you still have to collect. Now, Hearthstone and Blizzard does a better job. It's not going to be like Magic where you have to pay like thousands of dollars for some like really good cards, right? They have a system put in place so that way everyone kind of gets a equal chance, and even if you don't get unlucky, you can build the cards and stuff like that. But that's the hardest part, right? Because right now, if you were to play, you'd be playing with very basic cards, and it's only going to be as interesting as the basic cards take you. Once you start collecting cards and you go, oh shit, I got this really super rare card that does this. Yeah. And now you can like start building a deck around that.
I can see how like once
card.
You get into it, you'd be really hooked to it.
Oh man, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I mean,
it's probably a wise thing for me not to get into it though.
But I always say that, but I feel like it's like can you really be mad at yourself for playing too much chess? It's like, I mean, you could probably be productive in things, but it's like a mental workout.
Oh, in terms of productivity, I'm the most productive when I'm playing chess.
Oh, yeah?
In terms of how my brain is being exercised?
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. So in that sense, it's something that you might really enjoy, right?
Yeah,
because
I could see myself enjoying
especially like you're talking about, like you start getting to a point where you kind of know what like the best decks are and what like the construction of that deck is, like, so what cards to expect, right, if you will. And in that sense, you're like thinking ahead. You're like, oh man, like I know he's been hanging on to that card since the very beginning. It's like this fourth turn where he probably would use this. How do I play around that? You start thinking moves ahead. Again, like I said, when you were talking about chess, I mean, my buddy Brucey, he plays it too. I got him into Hearthstone as well.
It's amazing. Like that's a Blizzard entity, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, it's amazing what they do.
Blizzard, man, they actually just made, I think it was like a 5-person team, and they just made their own version of Magic because they would always play together.
Oh, that's how this was made?
Yeah, Hearthstone. And then they came out with the beta and they like kind of put it out.
Yeah.
And the amount of like,
it was just fire.
Yeah, it was huge storm. It was crazy. It was crazy. And
it's incredible.
Personally, I don't remember how I think I tried it because they have like those cross game promotions. So you play 3 games of Hearthstone, you'll get like a mount in World of Warcraft. So I did that. And I was like, card games not my thing. But then I don't know how I got into it. But after I got into it, I got really into it. Like really into it. Yeah. I would watch like all tournaments, like all the pros. It's you look at the other games like Call of Duty, or you look at League of Legends or Fortnite, PUBG, right?
PUBG.
Those games, you look at those pros and you're just like, there's no way in hell I could do what they do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I quit everything and just put everything in, all my energy and living soul into that, maybe, right? But Hearthstone, chess, right, is not about technical skills. It's not about who can move this card the fastest or who puts.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's just about, it's a mental, it's like a wits kind of thing. Right. And in that sense, I thought it was always cool. I mean, there's been times where I played against pros and won. Sometimes luckily, sometimes I played. But then most of the times when I play pros, I just want to get matched up with them. Yeah, they are also another level.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think you would really enjoy it.
I don't know if I can squeeze both that and chess into my life.
Yeah,
I think that's already, dude. I'm pretty relieved that I am where I am with fantasy right now because I was headed down a dark path.
Yeah,
I was. It was. I'm glad I had the record, or I'm glad I have the record that I have, and I had a couple of those wake up calls and just remind me what's important in life.
Just know that whether you throw in the towel or not, this podcast will always be here for you.
Yes.
So you will always be able to listen to every week and find out what you could have been doing, right?
Yep.
And basking in the glory and the victories.
I can always still reject James trades.
You could.
So
you could.
I can always.
Hey, man, maybe we'll make your team. Dude, your team doesn't look that bad, though.
Dude, by the time we get to the playoffs, it's going to be legit. If Le'Veon Bell plays.
Dalvin Cook. Damn, look at this team.
If Dalvin Cook plays.
I mean, the Nick Chubb with Carlos Hyde.
Do you know what's crazy? I picked up Nick Chubb on a Wednesday. This past Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
I saw the future.
Oh, wow. Marquise Goodwin, T.Y. Hilton, Julian Edelman, Camden. Dude, let's make some trades because you're done. I'm not. Let's make some trades.
My door is always open.
Let's make some trades. I mean, damn, I'll take Dalvin Cook off your hands.
Yeah, man, he's been breaking my heart.
Yeah. That's why I got, if you want to shop him low, we might have something. All right. Let's end this here.